fix my hair. I'm hot in here. This room, the radiator needs to turn off. Let me text my dad to turn the heating on because I'm sweating. I've got a big jug. Well, it's not a jug, but I would call it a jug by the size of it. Right, I'm ready to start. Hi my loves, welcome back or welcome to a new video. In today's video we will be doing my March wrap up. I am so sorry this has taken me so long to get out to you guys. As I've said prior, I've been on holiday, so there's been so many things that I've been doing. I don't even know if I mentioned that. Yeah, I think I mentioned that I was going on holiday, but actually my last video might have been before I went on holiday that I posted. In my Prompt Eggs Picks My April Reads video, I spoke about going on holiday, so which is why I hadn't done the wrap up yet. But it was time to do the wrap up now, and I'm so excited to do it. This month, or last month shall I say, I did okay in terms of reading. So in March I read 11 books, so more than what I've read in the past months of this year. I had a stack of physical books. Last month I just couldn't get to them, struggling to read a physical book. Anytime I tried to pick up a physical book, I just didn't want to. I think it was because of my schedule. I was a lot more tired after work, and reading on my Kindle is a lot easier than my physical books. In March I read a lot of dark romance. I was actually so shocked at the amount of books I read. I've only read about 4 physical books, and then the rest have been on my Kindle. So first we're going to go over my physical books that I've read this month, and then we're going to go over the books I read on my Kindle. And then I've also got a really exciting book that I'm really excited to talk about in this video because I actually received it as an ARC, so I'm really excited to talk about that. But first we're going to talk about all the books that I read on my physical TBR. In terms of my reading statistics before we start, obviously I read 4 physical books, 7 Kindle books. I actually did 1 reread, but I'm not going to talk about that in this video. It was actually Terms and Conditions by Lauren Asher. But obviously I've spoken about that last year. If you want to check out my review of that, check my Goodreads or have a look on my channel. I actually can't remember what video, but if I do I will link it down below. But in terms of reading statistics, we read predominantly romance. I don't think I had any fantasy reads. No fantasy reads. I would say I read about maybe 5 dark romance, some were contemporary, and then 4 books are from series which I've been completing. So a lot of fun books. I have really had a really successful month. I think I've had highs or lows. So in terms of all the usual stuff, obviously if you do enjoy this video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe. Follow all my socials down below, which you guys always know what to do. But I'm really excited to talk about my March reads, so let's get on to it. One of the first books I read in March was Ricochet by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is actually part of the Addicted series. It's the second book. I didn't really like the first book of the Addicted series, which is Addicted to You, but I thought I'd give it another chance. I really want to get into the series, and obviously I read the first book. I think I gave it a 3 stars or 3.5, so I decided to go and read the second book, which is Ricochet. And Ricochet's actually helped me understand the hype of the series. I actually really enjoyed this series. It definitely picked up a lot more, and as I've always said in terms of series, the first book's never really my favourite. I always see it as like the world building, the plot building, getting you into the characters, and Ricochet definitely did that for me in terms of showing me why everyone loves it, and I really enjoyed it. I'm giving it a 4 stars because it was just so interesting to read. I kind of knew what the characters were like, the story kind of developed because of that, and I've also just loved seeing Lily. Lily is one of the main characters of this book. Basically has a sex addiction, and she has her best friend / boyfriend called Lauren who has alcohol addiction. And seeing Lily and seeing her story, like I just loved kind of taking time to focus on each character in more detail. In the first book it was kind of just introducing us to the addiction, kind of just showing us like the relationship between the 2 main characters. With this book you definitely see a lot more about Lily's addiction and why she has it and the feelings she attached to it, and I just really connected with the character, not in the way like I understood her, but I had a lot of empathy and compassion for what she was going through. We got introduced to 2 characters that we were in the first book, and seeing these 2 interact, I'm really excited to see them in other books, which is making me want to continue reading the series just so I can get to it. But Ricochet was so good. I only gave it a 4 stars because I didn't get that 5-star feeling yet. I did want a little bit more of the story, but I definitely enjoyed it a lot more than the first one. I'm currently on the 3rd book, which is Addicted for now, and I'm really enjoying that as well. But all the characters together, I can definitely feel that found family element environment, and I just really love it. I love all the side characters as well, so I'm really excited to continue reading the series. So if you haven't read the Addicted series, I definitely recommend reading it, and obviously I'll probably do a little bit more of a review once I read more of the books, because I think this is only the second book and I think there's 10 books in the series, so I've got a lot to get through. Next, I read Unravel Me by Becca Mack. This book right here, you guys have probably heard me speak about this series for time again. This is part of the Playing for Keeps series. This is actually the third book, and this book we meet Adam. Obviously we have him in the other books, but we get more of his character in this one. It focuses on him and Rosie, and these two, I just obsessed with them. This is a single mom. It's kind of like, he gives me kind of golden retriever kind of vibes. He's not like a playboy or anything like that. He's really struggled to like date and find love. Like, he really wants that fairy tale ending, and he meets Rosie, and Rosie, she's just amazing. And this story, all the elements in all the past characters really sold this book for me. I just love this series with my whole heart. I will always recommend this, and you can probably guess what rating I gave this book. I would give this book a 5 stars. I'm actually leaning towards a 6-star read just because it was that good. I definitely think this might be my favorite book of this series. I don't know. I love the first 2 books individually as well, but this book alone, I was obsessed. I didn't want to put it down. I actually did a reading vlog which featured this book, which I just posted, so go watch that if you haven't. I was just obsessed with it. I was crying, I was laughing, I was giddy, kicking my feet, and this book had all the elements, plus her baby boy. The baby boy also stole my heart. Her son in this book is an absolute gem, and seeing Adam step into the father role just made me love him even more. There's something about a man with a baby or a little kid, I'm just obsessed. Like, and seeing Ollie and seeing Carter, Island, Jax, all these different people, I'm so happy, and I really can't wait for the next book. The next book's called Fall With Me, so I'm really excited to read that. But if you want a book that's found family, you're going to be addicted to the characters, it's so fast paced to read, it is slightly thicker than a lot of books that you might read, it's worth the pages and your time, so I definitely recommend reading it, and I'm so happy that I finally got to it. I was kind of putting it off because the first 2 books were that good, but this just proves this series is amazing. It is literally my favourite series of all time, and I'm gonna keep talking about it until the day I die. So yeah, I really love this book with my whole heart, and I'm so happy I read it this month. So next in March, I actually read 2 books from the same series. I read Collided and Wrecked. So Collided is the second book and Wrecked is the third book. So Collided follows Liam and Sophie, who we meet in the first book. I love their story. I gave this book a 4 stars. I really loved the plot of it. I love like the list. It was kind of fun, easy to think. Like, Liam's kind of always kind of had a thing for Sophie, and seeing these two together, the energy, the kind of, not enemies to lovers because they're kind of friends, they became like kind of enemies because he was on like the rivals team, to like friends to lovers. I was obsessed. So if you want a book that will make you obsessed with the characters, I definitely recommend this as well. And then obviously the third book is based on Alina and Jax. This one I gave a 4.5. Wrecked features Jackson and Alina. Alina is hired to be Jackson's kind of representative. She's supposed to help him build his image because he doesn't really have a good image. He's kind of seen as a playboy, does whatever he wants. This book I gave a 4.5. The story was a lot deeper than this one. What I loved about this one is so light-hearted, but what I loved about this, it took the story to another level. The relationship between Alina and Jax, oh my gosh, like, I'm obsessed with them. Elena, she is a force to be reckoned with, and when she meets Jax, and like, she comes from a very difficult background, and then obviously she meets Jax, she falls in love, so many things happen. Like, the story, it was just so good, and I just love the push and pull between the two characters. With this series, I'm obsessed with it. We have one more book left, and I've flown by, like, I couldn't put these books down, and I'm really excited to finish the last book. I'm sad to say bye to these characters, but Laura Nasha, again, she did it again. I'm enjoying this F1 series. The first book I wasn't too interested in the F1, but now I'm kind of used to it. I'm really enjoying it. So yeah, I really love these books, so good. Wrecked I gave a 4.5, and then Collided I gave a 4 stars. So that was all the books that I read in terms of physical books. Now we're going to go on to my Kindle reads. My Kindle reads right here. I decided to bring my Kindle on here, but I also have it written down on my notes. The first book that I read on my Kindle, which I'm really excited to talk about, is Wild Love by Elsie Silver. By the time this video comes out, the book would have just been released, but this book I got as an ARC. I was so, like, my mind blown to have got an email about receiving an ARC for this book. I'm obsessed with Elsie Silver, the Chestnut Spring series, which I've been delving into, which you'll see in my April wrap up. I actually was only expecting to get like a chapter, but when I saw that it was the whole flipping book, I literally ran around my house, and this book did not disappoint. And to find out that her newest series is based on single dads, what more can you want? More of Daddy Cade, more of Daddy Theo. Like, what more can you want? So Wild Love is about Ford and Rosie. So Ford is a billionaire, and he finds out that he's a father to a preteen, and Rosie has known Ford her whole life. It's her brother's best friend, so they have that kind of connection. There's always been some type of unresolved feelings, and when Rosie decides to move back into town, things heat up, and it heats up for the best. Like, Rosie, absolutely love her energy. She gives me very much the same vibes as Unravel Me. As Rosie, like, I love the character. She's just so wholesome, so caring, so gentle. Like, she's my baby. And Ford, Daddy Ford, he was a gem. This book was flipping amazing. From start to finish, I was hooked. I read this book in maybe 2 days, 3 days. But when I saw it was the full book, I was like, right. Put everything else down, and that is what I'm focusing on. I decided to give this book a 4.5. It was so amazing. The characters, the depth, seeing Rosie and like seeing the stuff that she struggled with in terms of work, life and stuff like that is something that I could really relate to. I just graduated university last year, and I'm very much in that like time period where you don't know what you want to do with your life, and everything kind of feels uncertain. And for her to move back and seeing like how much better she is living where she is, like coming back home, I just loved it. Ford as well, I just love his persona, and them two working together as well, and seeing Ford get really jealous, I was obsessed with. I was like, you know she's going to be your girl, like, you know it's going to happen. Ford, if you didn't know, is Willa's older brother. So Willa is a character we meet in the Chestnut Spring series. She has her own book with Daddy Cade called Heartless, and to see her again, we only had a little snippet of her. I was so happy. This book just gave me everything it needed to give. I'm obsessed, and I can't wait to read the rest of the books of the series. I'm so grateful that I was given the opportunity to read it early. So if you haven't read it yet, I definitely recommend reading it and grabbing your copy. I know I'm running straight to the store whenever I can to pick up the book in physical, because I need to have it on my collection. Now that I've read it on my Kindle, I need to have it on my physical hand, and I'm obsessed with it. I love you, Elsie Silver, and I can't wait to read the rest of the series. Next, we read a series. So there's 3 books in the series. The series is called The Reapers of Caspan Hills by Jessa Halliwell, and in this book, this is a dark romance, mafia romance. It's also a reverse harem. I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember the premise of this series. I just enjoyed it. Because I was struggling to read physical books, I was actually struggling to read any book at all. I was in like a book slump, but when I got it on my Kindle, romance is usually books that I can get through so quickly just because it's so fast paced and it kind of just has a lot of elements to it. This series, I really enjoyed it. I gave 2 stars to all the books. So the first book is Fear the Reapers, the second book is Queen of the Reapers, and the third book is Wrath of the Reapers, and I really enjoyed it. Not much to say about the books. All it was is that it was fast paced, easy to read, and there wasn't really much thinking when it came to it. So next I read 2 books again from another series. So I read a lot of series this month. I don't think I actually read any standalone. The next 2 books is from a series called Sinners and Angels by Luna Pierce. Again, this is a dark romance, reverse harem, and this series I gave a 2.5/3 stars because I find it a little bit more interesting than the first 3 books of the other series. So this one follows our female main character. She has a one night stand and then she has another one night stand, and staying over at his house she wakes up and finds out that those 2 guys are friends and there's also a 3rd guy, and she actually realizes the 3rd guy is her best friend from childhood who went missing and she never knew why he left. So there's a mystery around that, but they've also part of like the mafia world, so she kind of gets thrown into there where she's forced to live with them because someone's after her. So it has all of that elements. There's kind of like the tortured soul kind of thing that you see a lot in reverse harem, where like maybe 2 of the guys are really into her but the 3rd one's like really reserved, or he's very like funny around her. But what I loved about this series is like each of the characters had a different personality. They all did something different for her. Like one of them was more protective, one of them was more like caring and sweet and gentle, and then the other one was like more rough. And I really enjoyed it. Again, it was easy to read, fast paced. Don't really remember much that happened, but it was a good book. It was okay. It wasn't obviously a 5-star or 4-star. It was just a series that I just read because I was just scrolling through my Kindle, and once I go down the dark rabbit hole of reading dark romance, like I just go through so many. Like I think I read these 5 books within the span of like a week, which is madness. I don't think I've ever read 5 books in 1 week, but because it was so easy to read, like I would finish 1 book in like 1 evening, and they were like 400-page books, so it's not like they're really short as well. So the 2 books in that series is Untamed Vixen, and then the 3rd one is Villain Error. And then last but not least, I read Ruin My Life, which is also by this same author, Luna Pierce. This is actually based off the female protagonist of the last series, her best friend. So obviously her friend now is in this universe of the mafia. She kind of closed off, and we meet her best friend. Her best friend has always been kind of in the dark and that, but something happened, ends up putting her in the world as well. She meets 3 guys, like they all help her in a different way, and she falls in love. So yeah, I gave this book a 2.5/3 stars. Wasn't much to it. There has a plot, but nothing too like extreme. I didn't get too attached to the characters, but maybe because I was just like flicking through, like I was really just there for the smart and the vibes, and like the plot was really fast paced and easy to understand. And if you want something that's fast paced that will get you out of book slump, and you do like dark romance, I definitely recommend this book. If you need some dark romance recommendations, I definitely recommend reading those because they're so easy to read. You'll fall in love with the characters, and obviously maybe for you it's 5 stars, but I think because I didn't pay too much attention to it and it was kind of just like when I could read, then it was just easy to read, fun, light-hearted and fast paced. But that was it for all the books that I read in March. I know I kind of breezed through all the books I read on my Kindle just because there wasn't much to say about it, because I didn't really put any thought into reading them. The physical books I put more thought, and Wild Love I put more thought, but all the dark romance books, it was just books that I just sat and read. Compared to like Haunted Adeline, it wasn't really as exciting as that, but it did have like similar elements. And I don't think it was actually that spicy for like what people usually say about dark romance or reverse harem books. I feel like it was like spice level maybe a 3, not that extreme compared to like Haunted Adeline, but it does have some trigger warnings, so definitely check that out. But yeah, that was all the 11 books that I read in March. I hope you guys enjoyed going through all the books that I read. How many books did you read in March? Do you have a physical TBR, or are you kind to read on a Kindle? I don't know about you, but on my Kindle I read so much faster. Physical books can take me maybe like 3 to 4 days, whereas on my Kindle that same book might take me 1 day, maybe a day and a half. I just don't know. I really enjoy reading on my Kindle, especially as I have a really long TBR that reading on my Kindle just helps me tackle it a lot quicker. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading these books, even though it was kind of like a mixed month. I was a bit disappointed that I wasn't able to get to a lot of books my physical TBR, just because there was a lot of exciting reads I was really excited to read. I feel like it's the same books that keep getting left behind every single month, so I'm really hoping to prioritize it in the month of April. That was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't think I've even addressed the elephant in the room, but we're in my little box room and I've actually did some decorating, so I will be having a video coming out in the next week where you're going to see it in detail. At the moment it's not organised whatsoever, so stay tuned for that video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Of course, if you did, make sure you give it a like and a subscribe. Also, how have you guys been? How's your week been? I actually feel a lot more refreshed because we've had these 2 weeks off work. Well, I've had these 2 weeks off for work. How's your week's been? Has it been a tough week? Has it been a good week? What have you been doing? Like, what books have you read? Have you read a lot of books? I might be complaining about reading like 11 books but loads of them on my Kindle, but I did enjoy them. I'm not saying that I was in a book slump or anything like that, but obviously my job is to show you guys what I've read, like why I'm disappointed and why I'm not. And I've also would love to hear about what you think about the books I've read. Have you read any of these books? Have I given you any recommendations of books to read? And yeah, I really enjoyed the books I did read this month. I do think I had a very mixed bag, which I'm happy for. I don't feel like it's been a really bad month where I've only had like 2-star reads. I've had like one of my favourite books this month. I've had a lot of 4.5, like 4 to 5 stars. We've had a lot of those. Obviously the lower series I had, they were rated lower because there wasn't much to it, because I obviously mindlessly read that. But yeah, that is it. I know I've probably said that is it about 500 times. You guys are probably sick of it, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, stay tuned for my other ones. We have quite a few videos coming up. Obviously I have my mood read video that just came out. We have my April TBR video, so check that one out if you haven't. Check out my romance video where I did that, my place called TBR. I also have a new reading vlog that's supposed to be coming out, plus my all other vlogs. So I have a lot of videos coming this month. I'm trying to space them out. I usually do 1 video a week, but I'm trying to do at least 2 for the next 2 months, and obviously summertime I will do probably loads. But I'm really excited for the warmer weather, and today is really gloomy, but I am excited for the warmer weather coming up, especially as I went on holiday last week. It's really put me in the hot summer weather, and I just can't wait to read all the summery books I can. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Stay blessed everyone, and as I always say, I love you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!
Everything goes white. I can feel the breeze. Euphoric delight. Only you